Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Kokodash. Double honors to our apostle and daughter, great millstone, and peace and salutation to you brothers out there teaching this word and truth and sincerity on the highways and hedges. And shalom to the hopeful elect. Salaki, this is Brother Gatter 1. And I was speaking to brothers about this Hernando de Soto. It's a video I watched a while back. 48 dislikes, can you believe it or not, about so-called white man, all right, Hernando de Soto. So I want to go into some scriptures and an article and play some of this video. But I was listening to these, that comedian Bill Burr, right? And he's talking about race, him and like Patrice O'Neal or something. And it's that Opie and Anthony, all right? That guy, they're like real racist, those Edomites on there, right? And then they couldn't disagree when Bill Burr, he said, just the fact that anytime you go back in time for a so-called white man to find a decent white person, you gotta find a decent white person. There's always one white man at the lynching. Don't hang him. In other words, you're not gonna find a decent white person, man. Every so-called white man that you go back into in this modern day history, okay? Let's say going back to the Renaissance, every Edomite, okay, that existed was a complete dirtbag, man, scumbag, a murderer, thief, a racist, okay, a criminal, evil, okay? And I'm gonna play this video about Hernando de Soto, okay? Because this is about his time in the North America, okay? Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, and this is mainly him against Rahaban, okay? Tribe of Reuben and Gad, but mainly it's the tribe of Reuben here, which was real spiritual. That he was hitting off tribes, man, one by one. I'm gonna play this video, okay? Some clips from it. Just give you a good background story on this devil.
By the time De Soto set foot in Florida, he was a wealthy, seasoned veteran of Spanish ventures in the New World.
De Soto himself had come to the New World when he was about 14. Was a big success in terms of the day as a conquistador. He participated in the pillaging of Native American societies.
See, it was a big success. Pillaging, murdering, thieving, that's successful in the eyes of the so-called white man. He was a successful criminal, okay?
In Central America, he was involved with the Pizarro brothers in the sacking of the Inca Empire. He became quite wealthy.
But wealth alone could not satisfy De Soto's burning ambition. To leave his mark on history, he would gamble his fortune on one more throw of the dice, his own expedition in search of El Dorado.
When they came to the New World, none of the conquistadors came with the intention of staying. They wanted to come over here. They wanted to find El Dorado. They wanted to find the gold of the Incas. And if they didn't find that, they would go back without any kind of entitlement, any kind of status. And so they knew that, again, their backs were against the wall to make a name for themselves in the New World. And people...
Okay. Oh, sorry.
The greatest, biggest, wealthiest society. And he also specifically asked Indians about precious...
Here we go.
Technically oblivious to history's strict. From there came rumors of gold, silver, and gems beyond the imaginings even of the greatest Inca monarch. In fact, a few precious trinkets had been taken from the natives of the north, but in one of the great ironies of history, the conquistadors would never learn of the true source of that wealth, their own shipwrecked galleons.
Late 1530s, wealth was going back on Spanish fleets. Many of those fleets set sail from the coast of Mexico, came around the Gulf, went down the Gulf Coast of Florida and through the Strait of Florida and up. Some of them wrecked, summer storms, hurricanes, and the Florida native people salvaged material off there, gold, silver, and in Florida archaeological sites and native sites, we do find gold and silver that came right out of Central and South America.
Spectacularly oblivious to history's strange twist of fate, De Soto's proud conquistadors arrived in the New World in the spring of 1539, probably at Tampa Bay. Almost 700 strong, they set off with haste in search of their fortunes. When they stopped to ask directions, as it were, they were in no mood to be trifled with.
Every time De Soto came to a new place, he would interrogate his captives, and the two main questions were, where is the greatest prince in the land? Where can I find the greatest, biggest, wealthiest society? And he also specifically asked Indians about precious substances such as gold and silver. The Spanish would show the Indians the jewelry on their fingers and on their bodies and would ask the Indians, where can I find this? Where can I find that? The Indians may have been tempted to mislead him, and in some cases we know that they did. But for the most part, I suspect they told him what he wished to know because his means of extracting it were so great, and the possibility of torture was so obviously present.
So obviously present. What are they doing here? They're about to chop his leg off. These were sick people, man. Edomites.
In keeping with this charge from the king, De Soto read a lengthy statement to each group of natives he encountered. They and all their lands now belonged to the Spanish crown, he informed them. They were to pledge their allegiance to Spain and accept the Catholic faith.
Should they refuse, it came with this warning. With the aid of God, we will enter your land against you with force and will make war in every place and by every means we can and are able. We will take you and your wives and children and make them slaves, and we will take your property and will do you all the harm and evil we can.
Do you hear that? That's the mouth of the wicked, man. Okay, I'm going to read this. Proverbs 10:6. Blessings are upon the head of the just, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. The memory of the just is blessed, but the name of the wicked shall rot. Okay, so this video, I think that's all I really want to go into in the video. I'm going to go into the scriptures in this article. It's a good video. It says 45 minutes, but in all actuality, it's only about 20-minute clip. The rest is just, BS. But this is a good video. I don't think I subscribed to it, but I already liked it. This is a very good video. I'm gonna put a link in the description. But as you can see, what was he talking about? He's talking about violence.
Place and by every means we can and are able. We will take you and your wives and children and make them slaves, and we will take your property and will do you all the harm and evil we can.
Harm and evil we can, man. So they had just ill intentions, the so-called white man. Okay, you wanted to kill us. This is Obadiah 1:10. For that violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Yeah. Because you were very, very violent to us, and you still are. And now that's why you're shamed. I was listening to the radio show, right? Okay. There's no but shame. One person, it seems like they're mad at him because he has shame, but he's not. He's just stating pure facts about the so-called white man's history, and the other guys don't want to accept it, man. Why? Because they don't want to accept that the judgment that has to come upon them now, right? Because you so-called white people, you're just not going to get away with all the wickedness of your forefathers. Are you going to be judged for it? Okay, just like how we got judged. Okay, for our forefathers, you're going to be judged.
It's so-called legal,
and not just for what your forefathers did, what you're doing right now. Okay, the wicked mind state that you're in. Okay, the evil things that you've done. The Most High got it all down, man.
Waging war established, Hernando de Soto set about the business of destruction and enslavement with a clear conscience. Though they came to the New World ostensibly for gold, God, and glory, the Spaniards also quite clearly came in search of slaves.
They brought leg irons and collars and chains to enslave the Indians. Probably during most of the expedition, they probably had as many Indian slaves as they had members of the expedition. So at times, the expedition is probably, they had as many people as 800, 900 people, including all the Indian slaves that were accompanying them.
One tactic used by De Soto was to capture the chiefs. The chiefs were not only economically and politically important, they were also the focus of their people's religious life.
It was devastating to the local populations when the Spaniards captured the chiefs because it just paralyzed everyone. The population was brought to its knees almost in.
So yeah, the other point there was that there was a lot of the natives were turned into slaves. All right, so that proves that there's Israelites. Okay, and then the video has everything to do with that. The so-called white man and his vines against his brother Jacob, and these people here, the tribe of Reuben, the Reubenites, okay, North American Indians, are Israelites. All those people Hernandez de Soto was jacking up. He was hitting up Asher, Incas. Okay, he went and got Zebulon in Central America. Then he went and he took down Reuben. Okay. He was a rich man, but he had such a bloodthirst and the spirit of the so-called white man was on him. The spirit of Esau was on him. The Most High put that on these devils, man, during that time. Okay, that spirit is on you still. Okay, but you're not. The spirit of Jacob rising is becoming more and more powerful. Okay. Where is that? Yeah, here it is. Job 3:19. Egypt shall be a desolation. Edom shall be a desolate wilderness. For the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land, right? But Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem for generation to generation. Okay? For I will cleanse the blood that I have not cleansed, for the Lord dwelleth in Zion. Okay? So the so-called white man, right, after you took down our people, the Asher, you got rid of the majority of Reuben in that area. What did you do? You had Judah up in there as hardcore slaves. Because the area we're speaking of in the video is Florida, Alabama. It's actually right here. Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas. Those are heavily Jake populated areas, man. And so you shedded that innocent blood. You had Judah in slavery. You so-called white people, there's no way around it. You could feel guilty. You could feel shame. Whatever way you feel, doesn't matter. Judgment is coming for you. All right. You better just live it up, as the scriptures say. So I just want to go into this article right here. Yeah. History's 9 most murderous explorers, ranked by how awful they were. All right. Of course, it's this guy. This is done in May 18, 2015, a little while back. Okay, he says, spoiler, Columbus isn't number one. Oh, I wonder who it is. Okay, Ferdinand Magellan, murder level. Okay, does he explain it here? I'll just read it. These days, anyone with an iPhone and passport can plan a weeks-long trip spanning multiple continents and snap countless obnoxious selfies. Centuries ago, the same trip would have taken years and resulted in untold death and destruction. Still probably preferable to selfies, though. In any case, it's easy to lose sight of how brutal early exploration and transoceanic travel used to be, which is why we decided to look at the 9 most murderous global explorers from the Age of Discovery and rank them according to how heinous their impact on the local population was. Official estimates, official figures aren't always available, seeing how victors write history. Educated estimates prove that these guys were still detestable, because if they have one thing in common, it's that they were horrible, cruel murderers, okay? And here it is, YouTube, you flagged my video because I said the so-called white man's a murderer. It's a fact, you damn devils. And that's another thing. They're saying, oh, why the black Israelites? Why does anyone stop them for spewing their hatred? First of all, everything we bring out is fact. And even more so when it's specifically backed by scriptures, okay? And the scriptures solidify those things as truth. And that's why everything we're saying is true. Okay, so this is number 9, Ferdinand Magellan. Murder level, occasionally murderous. How he died, stabbed to death, and a lot of these guys had horrible, horrible judgments, man. Okay, but they did a lot of. There was little. It was nothing compared to what they were doing, you know. Although Magellan led the first voyage to circumnavigate the globe, he didn't actually survive the whole trip. He wasn't especially brutal throughout his trip, but old Ferd had an unfortunately yen for proselytizing and converting the natives he encountered, often through pain and death. This ultimately proved to be his undoing when he took part in a beach skirmish on the Philippine islands of Mactan and was promptly stabbed to death. Whether or not he was Magellan at the time remains a subject of scholarly debate. Yeah, he got put to death by some wild-ass Filipinos, and those probably were Jakes. All right? A lot of those tribes over there were Jakes. Hernan de Soto. And this guy was a hardcore devil. Murder level, consistently murderous. How he died, fever. In addition to discovering the Mississippi, De Soto's expedition in North America, discovering good, he put it in quotations because you devils didn't discover a damn thing, encountered a great number of native peoples. More often than not, these encounters resulted in hostility and outright slaughter, as De Soto's campaign followed the model established by his predecessors, Pizarro and Cortez, taking advantage of the Spaniards' advanced weaponry, tactics, and armored cavalry to combat native resistance, and brand himself as a sort of living god. Ultimately, though, De Soto didn't find the same level of riches previously in his conquest of Peru. As he ventured deeper into the country in search of wealth, he fell ill and died of fever on the banks of the Mississippi, which is pure judgment for that devil, man. Coronado, Francisco Vázquez de Coronado. Murder level, war criminal. How he died, infectious disease. Coronado expedition through what is now southwestern U.S. in search of the mythical golden city of Cibola. Although the Spanish king had expressly forbidden any mistreatment of the native population, that didn't stop Coronado from retaliating with overwhelming force and violence against the smallest of transgressions. The dude was eventually brought up on charges of war crimes when he returned to Mexico City, ranging from setting dogs on natives to straight up hanging them. Granted, he was acquitted, but the fact that he even got charged is pretty remarkable. Which shows you how sick and vicious this guy was, man. Okay? Yeah, they try to paint him a little darker, you know? He was a straight Edomite, man. And I believe at the time when Mexico, declared its independence, it started bringing up those it started being able to charge these European people with these war crimes, all right? As opposed to what the American government did. They just looked away. They didn't care. They let you Esau's. They let you Edomites run totally wild over here on Israel. Juan Ponce de Leon, a devil, murder level, prolific. How he died, a poisoned arrow. This is a very well put article because I like how they set it up like this, man. This is judgment. Although mostly common associated with the search for the fountain of youth, Ponce de Leon also played a pivotal role in the Higui massacre on Hispaniola in 1504. So he was jacking up mainly on that island. You already know, Simeon, the tribe of Simeon. That's modern-day Dominican Republic. And spearheaded the brutal conquest of Puerto Rico, Ephraim. Still unsatisfied, he continued on to Florida, that's Reuben, in 1513 in an attempt to settle the land and spread Christianity. This is all a bunch of an excuse to justify their get-rich scheme, which is to enslave and destroy as many people and steal as much resources as possible, which you are continually doing, you damn devils. He said to have perished upon his return to Florida in 1521 when he was struck in the leg by a poisoned arrow, suggesting in fact he may have been the first Florida man in history. Devil. It's good, man. Hey, the Most High got a lot of poisonous arrows for you devils, man. And some of these devils, man, you don't even looking. So, the Spirit's going to get on me to do videos on all these guys, Oh, you hear that, Esau? Flag those videos, you devil. Panfilo de Narvaez. Murder level, sadistic yet ineffective. How he died, drowned, probably. This big bearded one-eyed conquistador. This dude had one eye. Launched an expedition to explore and conquer Florida years before DeSoto, but was much less successful thanks to his poor tactics, coupled with the insane level of cruelty he exhibited to the local population. Navarro's brutality is often said to have contributed mildly to the black legend that painted the Spanish Empire in a decidedly negative light. Ultimately, his fate remains unclear as some men drifted out to sea on a raft. So he got judged. This doesn't really explain what really happened, but when you watch the rest of this video, I believe at 12:30, it goes into Reuben rising up against this devil, man. So I think Chief Tuscaloosa,
once and for all.
Most did nothing to do that. There are a lot.
Chief Tuscaloosa, which is the name, he led a band against this devil, man. And then what did he do? He straight massacred all the Indians he could. I may play that, but let me run through this article real fast. Pedro de Alvarado, murder level, super murderous. How he died? Crushed by a horse. Even among his peers, Pedro Alvarado was notorious for being an extreme son of a bitch, serving as Cortez's right-hand man. Oh, man, you already know you gotta be an evil piece of shit to be with that guy. During the conquest of the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan, Alvarado orchestrated an unprovoked massacre of unarmed men, women, and children during the celebration of Tochal in the city's great temple. This single event was an exemplar of his ruthless style of command. And while he went on to have a relatively long and terrible career that took him to Peru and what would become El Salvador, he finally met his end beneath the hooves of one of his own retreating horses. That's beautiful, man. It's fun. The most I got these guys, man. He took them out in a very shameful way. This devil. Every white man's favorite. This is Trump. Okay. One of Trump's heroes. Christopher Columbus, murder level, very murderous indeed. How he died, writer syndrome. Christopher Columbus' reputation has taken hits in recent years, and although his story is undoubtedly complicated, there's no denying he and his crew were responsible for some heinous atrocities between the reports of slavery, mutilation, and outright genocide of native population like the Arawaks, who was Ephraim, the tribe of Ephraim, modern-day Puerto Rico, Hispaniola. It's hard to believe there's still a holiday named after this devil. Granted, he sparked the whole Western civilization thing, but still, oof, yeah, Western civilization, the worst thing going, okay? Don't try to act, oh, yeah, then leave. No, devil, you leave. Go back to the caves. Francisco Pizarro, murder level, exceptionally murderous. How he died? Stabbed to death. This guy was a real piece of shit, man. All right, he took down the Incas. Yet another Spanish search for gold. Pizarro's claim to fame was his Peruvian campaign in 1532, during which he utterly crushed the mighty Incan Empire with De Soto, who was his right-hand man. After a shock and awe, there we go again, the spirit. I had the buzz going this last week or two about how Esau uses that. After a shock and awe victory in which thousands of the Incas were killed, Pizarro forced the conversion of the Emperor of Atahualpa, then had him strangled to death. Yeah, a complete dirtbag. You make a deal and you just kill him anyways. Pizarro's conquest of the Inca laid the groundwork for the mass genocides that would follow his continued European colonization, and it's only fitting the man himself was assassinated by the son of a man he sentenced to death, his former companion, Diego Almagro. So these Edomites are all murderers. They'll kill each other. They don't care. Yeah, how much is it him to get killed by? He got killed by one of his own homies. Or they say it be your own niggas. It be your own niggas sometimes, huh, Esau? You fucking devil. All right, Hernan Cortes, of course. Yeah, what happened? How Mexico City was established? That was like one of the worst atrocities. Hernan Cortes. The devil. Murder level among worst humans ever. Of course. He's a piece of shit. A devil. How he died of pleurisy in massive debt. Finally, and then it's funny, right? Because these guys are all still slaves in themselves. Just horrible mercenaries willing to do anything. Finally, the worst of the worst, you know you're bad when Neil Young writes a song about your brutality. After participating in a campaign to conquer Cuba in the early 1510s, Cortez went rogue and gathered about 500 men for an expedition of his own into the Yucatan, one that would result in the complete destruction of the Aztec Empire and the deaths of untold thousands. The Aztecs were monsters in their own right. Yeah, right. And Cortez used the contempt wrought by their cruelty to sow dissension among the other natives and topple Montezuma's once mighty empire. After they'd helped him gain control of Mexico, though, the newly freed natives learned they'd exchange one brutal despot for another, with the added indignity of smallpox, which devastated population worse than even Cortez's intentional ruthlessness. Okay, so, yeah, this is, I'll put it all down. These are Edomites. These are the people who established America, all right? Great explorers. All murderous, evil devils. Okay, I'll put that, and then brutality and barbecue. De Soto had the hands of Chickasaw Indian cutting off for trying to take a Spanish hog. This is famous picture. We have it on our science. Okay, and this article goes more into what the so-called white man was doing to the Chickasaw. All right. Yeah, and with that, you so-called white people, you're done. Don't try to don't try to act like we good. It's not good. You got to go into slavery now. Okay, you got to go down. You're going down. Okay, you just need to go. You need to be destroyed, and you got to go into slavery. And that's a beautiful thing. With that, I'm to give praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Kogadash, Shalom, and you so-called white people are murderous thieves. I'm proving it by looking at who established your society. Shalom to the elect.